Sounds from a joint military and NADMO team swimming against the tide at Weija in a rescue mission as floods take over many parts of the South municipality. Thousands of structures submerged and many more people displaced. Tonight, there's a desperate plea from those trapped in their homes.
At the night, my mother was having a friend. We went to sleep at the house.
We'll be live in the communities and hear from officials. And Top Story is brought to you by Vodafone. Further together, I am Ernest Menu.
Sad situation. You can hear screams of Obi-Wana. Is there anyone around? Look at this mortar. Look at this mortar. Floating. Floating. Look at that. Floating on the water. Obi-Wana! Watching live coverage from the river. Look down.
Those are sounds from a live rescue operation underway at Weija, which has been taken over by floods. Residents in Oblogo, Tetegu, and Ashalaja have all been affected. Tonight, the South municipality is underwater. What started very small on Sunday has now escalated into a full-blown emergency situation. The residents are desperate and are making a passionate appeal for help. My colleague Michael Ashale just returned from Ashalaja and joins me in the studio with details of the situation there. Michael, describe to us the extent of devastation you saw.
So Evans, Ernest, so it's very difficult at the moment to even see that there's a single house that had individuals' house in it and it's still standing with people in it. It's very difficult. Nearly everyone since Monday have decided to abandon their houses. I mean, you have huge mansions, some of them 7-bedroom house, some of them plan to be hostels, some of them plan to be estates, and there's no one in it. And if you look inside the house, nearly it's a half of the room is flooded, and that's the situation across the entire area. So there's this huge bridge there, and right from that place all the way to neighboring communities from Ashalaja, it's practically impossible to go anywhere without a boat, and that's not something they actually have.
And we see from the visuals also on TV some walls breaking. We've seen the streets flooded. Children also affected by this situation. Some farms in the area as well, all submerged. And you've been speaking to some of the residents.
Yeah, I have been speaking to some of them, and these communities are originally a farming community. So you'd have people, those who were closer to the Densu who were fishing, and those who were farther away from it, they were farming. I mean, this is something that subsistence farming, so they were eating from their farms. But that's not the case anymore. Most of them have their hands in the air. They don't know what to do.
It's very hard for us, even to leave your children in the home to go out and do your market. You can't go to do anything. You can't go out.
So from last night, what have you been doing?
Well, last night we went to the Abain school and sleep. Some of them sleep there, and some of us, we have some friends and others, and we went there yesterday.
So your children are not going to school?
No, even today my boy didn't go to school because of the water. This one there, you can't do anything. Even going to the market, you can't do anything.
That affected me to not go to school, and my learning too is not going well for me. At the night, my mother was having a friend. We went to sleep at the house. I miss learning so that I can become a good boy in the future.
Yeah, you will be our say. You see, I had to see a dead of crying. So I'm funny now. Sabi, you say, but yeah, for a go say, you know, your cabbage in toast in Kruma. You said, somebody now, that's say, just rabbi. Omna no mayamwa, you see a bit of the abontre. We have a crass aquasem. It's a second for do. So moi, say a bridge die. Nebia Sota, a 2 higher day. And so a baby no one see I see it. But Nebia see so by the head of the airport. She has rabbi. One party for Mumla, no mayamwa, no see I want you.
Casbeya, Natum. Yachi Casas, Neda Yandama, Yachi, father. Yandama, Yachi, Yahane, direct Casas, Wanipa, not Osabwa, Obia.
How has this inconvenienced you?
This is very bad. It's very, very bad. Yesterday, I couldn't bring my car home. So, the boys were here yesterday directing the affair, how and we should move in and out. So, a lot of people have packed their cars. They couldn't go home with the car. So, I have the information this morning that I cannot use the car. So, I have to pack my car. And you can see yourself, as you have come here, you see what is going on. I have to move my shoe. You can see a lot of people, the women, they have to be carried on the motorbike and all that before they can even cross the river.
But how difficult was it for you to cross? Were you afraid?
Yesterday I was very afraid though, because I have not experienced it before with the car. The first time when the bridge collapsed, I was not having a car, so we managed through with the boat. But this time, as I was driving, I have not driven through water like this before. So yesterday I was very, very afraid, but I have to gather some courage and pass through yesterday.
What's your full name?
Emmanuel Tay.
Is this the first time it's happening? Like, how bad is the situation for the area?
I think we have been experiencing this, but not up to this extent, because this is very, very. A lot of people are home. People couldn't come out because of this situation. So they couldn't go to work. Those who have the market women, cars cannot come. You can see the other side, cars are parking. They have parked there. So when you come from the other side, you have to alight down and then they will cross the water to join another car to Amasama. So living at Asalaja is very, very difficult. This thing happened, it's the second time. We experienced this thing, this very second time that we are experiencing this kind of tragedy. So it's very, very disappointing. Sorry. We want the road to be fixed, and also the bridge to be fixed, because when you see the road from here up to 3 Junction, the road is very, very bad. So all the drivers are complaining, there are shocks. So anytime they have to go to Aboso Kind and all that. Now that this water issue has also come, it's very, very difficult for us to do the in and out movement, go to our various workplaces and come back. It's very difficult for us. You're welcome, sir.
Michael, so those are some of the people you spoke there, and this is just Ashalaja. And earlier we estimated that about 1,500 people as well as 1,000 homes have been affected. But when you spoke to the assemblyman for one of the electoral areas at Ashalaja, he indicated that for his area alone, more than 500 homes have been affected.
Yeah, so the 500 homes he estimates that housed more than 1,000 individuals in that particular area alone. And I mean, he's come up with some sort of idea as to what probably could be the cause of it. I mean, given that the river flows not far from the area, it says that activities of sand winning could be a possible cause.
In fact, for the homes, we are over 500, and the individuals are over 2,000. Because right now, we have this situation pending at Kwamiano, a place called Mamines Junction. This situation is there. We have it pending here, which is this place, we call it Assemblies of God down. Then we have the same situation again, pending at 3rd October down. So you see that Ashalaja is a place that is being bounded by this river, Densu. So all the banks along the Densu where we have these communities and structures, they are all affected. Because we needed a canoe, and NADMO didn't have any to supply us. So we have to follow the individuals and then the locals and see how best. So we were planning to go to Afuama, which is a fishing community. But luckily enough, we had a neighbor who was fishing, and we called to him for assistance. In fact, he did a great job. As at now I'm speaking, his canoe is still there, cutting people on and in and out at where I made mention at 3rd October. But unfortunately, to be frank, the whole place is being invaded, it's being encroached by these sand-winning activities. And anytime that you get there to go and raise them to, they are all armed. And they come there in the night. So we find it very difficult. So if the government can come with a strong team I think it's going to do a massive work because when you look at the threat from Ashalaja, a farmer going, all has been encroached upon. We need the assistance of the government strictly.
That is Wisdom Avonyo, the assemblyman for an electoral area in Ashalaja. Let me take you live to Wager now, where a rescue mission is underway. My colleague Maxwell Adodba is embedded with the team. Maxwell, you were in the canoe that was doing the rescue, and you saw a number of people pulled out from the floods from their homes. What can you report as to the numbers that have been rescued so far?
Well, Anas, scores of people have been successfully rescued by the 48th Engineer Regiment. What I saw here is indescribable. No amount of words, no drone footage could actually capture the fear and anxiety of what we experienced with the militiamen who were on the ground doing the rescue. The personnel we went with are skilled and expert swimmers who had to still battle the currents from the flat water. At a point, they had to use a rope and ground support from some fishermen who live in the area to move the boat. And as we paddled and moved along, we saw children marooned on rooftops together with their parents. Those who had the earliest indication of the flood managed to flee before the water level reached a very scary levels. We only had that assurance and did not panic because we're in the company of expert swimmers and personnel from the 48th Engineer Regiment, and we're all in life jackets during the rescue mission. But for that, I don't think we could have, gone closer to where the current was very severe. And I think that has been the challenge. Many of the people who live on dry land do not have an idea of the intensity of the flat water, what we are talking about here. But we got a sense of that when we were in the company of the military. And it is a double whammy for the residents here, as the electricity company has also cut power supply as a result of the dangerous water levels. I have here with me scores of people who are just here on a small dry land here, many of them carrying their backpacks. Some of the people I've been interacting with tell me that they are going to spend the night at the homes of friends, relatives, and loved ones. I have a Reverend Minister here with me who has lost his car, lost properties, running into thousands of Ghana cedis. He's here with me. Reverend, how many years have you stayed here?
I've been here for the past 22 years.
Is 22 years?
Yes.
More than 2 decades. Is it the first time you've seen something like this?
This is the first time. Though most of the time they open there's water, but it doesn't come this way. This one is, in fact, is a disaster. Yeah.
You had to save your friend. In fact, you have bruises on your knee because you tried saving your friend, a doctor who was nearly swept away by the current.
Yeah, in fact, when I was moving, I saw the current taking him, so I had to try to save him, and then in the course of that, I got hurt. Yeah.
So, but for you, he would have been swept away.
He would have been swept away. He would have been swept away. If I wouldn't have seen him. Yeah.
I've seen your children.
Yeah.
How many of them?
They are 4. The end dog also has the wife, the daughter, and then the granddaughter. There.
And you have some of your church members who are also affected by this. Many of them sitting on their backpacks, do not have an idea of where they are going to spend it.
Exactly. This is what I'm worried about. That's what I'm appealing to the authorities, that they should get something to do for them, at least for them to have a place to sleep. Because look at these children, look at all these people. Where are they going? We are appealing to the NADMO to come to the aid of these people, to get them a place to sleep, at least. And then get them. Most of them came out without anything. In fact, they came out in the same dress that they are, just like myself. If I have not salvaged anything of mine.
And I was on the boat with you. You only had a backpack. The only thing you were able to salvage.
Yes.
You lost your car.
Yes, and the bag is for the doctor. I was trying to help him, So the bag is for the doctor, and nothing. Here I am without anything.
You lost your car. What else did you lose?
All my personal effects are all gone. Everything is submerged under the water. My television, my everything of mine is gone. Everything. I couldn't salvage even one of anything.
I'll be coming back to you shortly. But Ernest, even as I speak to you, I see scores of people who are wading through this flood water. Many of them carrying their bags, moving to the main road where they'll be joining vehicles to go to the homes of the relatives and loved ones where they'll be spending the night. Because they cannot do that in the comfort of their rooms today. They cannot sleep there. Their houses partially, submerged. Doc, you nearly died in this flood. What happened?
I was going with Reverend, and I don't know. Just the current just swept me, and I lost balance, and I was almost going under the water. So it was intervention. I mean, he and other guys held me and dragged me out of the water. I nearly went down the drain.
I see your children here. I see your wife also here. Do you have an idea where you're spending the night?
Well, I'm planning to go to my senior brother at Baru. That is Hilltop, Baru. That's where I'm planning to go right now. Go and spend the night there with my daughter and my grandchildren. Yeah.
Reverend lost his car and properties running into thousands of Ghana cedis. What did you lose?
Before I went there, so the TV, the fridge, they were all on the flood waters. So what do? I just let go. I saw on flood waters, and the corridor everywhere was flooded. So I just saw it, and then what do? I left them, and then I came down.
Okay. Reverend, finally, what do you think is the solution to this? You think we can fix it? You think this is on a natural disaster? That's what you think?
Yes, that's what I think, and I think we can fix it. It's time for them as we are responsible, because looking at what happened, it looks like negligence of duty. Because, like I keep saying that this dam must be desilted, and for all this time it's been there, and then nobody can hear it or whatever we are trying to put across. You see, so. I think if they should come to the aid of the people, I think it should be good, because many people are claiming that this one is a farmland, but this one has been given back to the chiefs. You see, and then many people here are having building permits. How do they get a building permit? You understand? And they can't take a property rate. The authorities come here to take property rates. So why do they take property rates and then they don't take care of the place? You understand?
Okay. Thank you. Ernest,
Maxwell,
this is just one of the affected areas, and this is White Cross. We know people at Tetegu are also affected. We know people at Modest, very close to Choice in this municipality, have also been affected. As the sun sets and as it gets darker, the reality is dawning on a lot of people here. They're stranded. Some of them do not know where they are going to spend the night. In fact, some of them couldn't even take. One woman I spoke to, who was rescued by the military team, she couldn't even take any money from her room.
And Maxwell, do you see the effort of the National Disaster Management Organization in preparing a place for them? I get a sense some of them are fleeing to other areas, to relatives elsewhere to pass the night. But some may be sleeping rough if we do not find help for them. Do you get a sense of some preparation to house these individuals?
Well, and as it stands now, we've not seen any. I have personally not seen personnel of the National Disaster Management Organization, but I've picked up information that they are also helping with the rescue efforts. And other affected
areas.
That is the information that we have, but we've not seen any of them right now.
Maxwell, stay on the ground for us. We'll return to you shortly for more on what is happening as the sun sets. Reality is dawning on the people, and of course, it will be a difficult situation for people who do not have loved ones or relatives within the closest, within the area, so they could spend the night. But let's go on to the other line now. We are joined by the MCE for Gas South, who is also the chairman of the Disaster Management Committee at the municipality, Patrick Kumo. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Top Story. So already some of the residents are calling for action against certain individuals they believe may be accountable for what is happening. But first, give us an update on the report you have as far as the number of people who have been affected and the extent of damage. I mean, some people we're speaking to just a while ago say they've never seen this in the 20 years they've lived in the area. It appears unprecedented.
Yeah, good evening, my brother, and let me greet your French listeners. What is happening to my community is something that is heartbreaking. I'm Patrick Kumo, the municipal chief executive of Wejagbawe, North Gas South. Even though we are collaborating with Gas South to solve the situation, I'm for Wejagbawe. But what is happening is that my municipality is the most hit, and I believe with the collaboration of NADBO and the 48 regiments, we are managing to rescue our people from those affected areas. Let me say that 2 days ago that we had information from Ghana Water that the dam is really getting to a level that needs to be open. But let me get to this picture. The community that you mentioned earlier, that is Asalaja.
Yeah.
That is just behind the dam. My community, some of my communities are the downfalls of the dam where the spill gates are. So let me say, if Ghana Water is not spilling the water, then of course it will move back into those areas that we just mentioned earlier. That is Asalaja and then Obomdomiabra. That has necessitated Ghana Water to spill water so that we don't have most communities around its catchment area being affected. But as I speak to you, for 2 days we've been on our feet to make sure that we open the estuary where the excess water in the community can have access into the sea. And as I speak to you, we are still on site making sure that large volumes can leave the community so that our people will not be displaced that much.
Is this purely as a result of the spillage of the dam?
Yes.
And so concerns about, sand winning and private developers taking over certain areas of certain pieces of land around the dam is not necessarily true as far as the situation is concerned.
We have pockets of such issues around, but what we are facing currently, just as some mentioned earlier, this has never happened before. For almost about 2-3 decades now, we've never experienced such devastating spillage in the communities. This Bensu River takes its source from the eastern region of Tiwa, and we know very well that for almost about 7 days straight, it's been raining. And for that matter, the volumes upstream are the ones that we are experiencing down here. And if we want to maintain the integrity of the dam, then Ghana Water has no choice but to spill the dam. And of course, our people will be affected. What are we doing now? The Assembly has identified some safe havens in the municipality, which people that are being rescued will be transported to those areas. We also call in on friends and families who can also house some of them so that together we can all start the situation. We're hoping that by tomorrow we should be receiving some relief items from NADMO so that people that needs to be attended to ASAP can be reached within that range.
Earlier, we got the estimate of between 1,000 and 1,500. Is that number increasing by the hour?
Yes, it's increasing, my brother, because we're still having a lot more water in the system, and the water keeps spreading. Areas where we were not even expecting this water to get to are being flooded, and it's a dying situation. What we're doing, we'll ask if we can still get some excavators to come to the shores of the assembly, where we can open more estuaries so that the water can leave the communities ASAP. Then, of course, we can save lives and property.
Is the spillage still happening as we speak?
Yes, it's still happening. As in the morning, as I checked, they were spilling at around about 6 feet per gate. that is a huge volume that is being discharged. And I believe it is very necessary because we all want to maintain the integrity of the dam. Because if this is not done and the dam collapses, the repercussion effect will be dire.
And as we speak, do we know if the water level will continue to rise, or in terms of the volumes that you are spilling?
Let's say this evening we're getting reports that the eastern region is reducing a bit. So I believe by close of tomorrow we should have the levels coming down a bit. And so far, with the works that have been done at the both estuaries, we believe that a lot more water will be taken out of the system so that people can return to normal living.
And so the assurance you're giving for those who do not have relatives is that the assembly has a place for them and they can pass the night decently.
Yes, if you come to Weija, where the municipal assembly is located, we have a place called ITS. It's one of the safe havens that we've identified. When you get to Oglogo cluster of schools, it's also one of the areas that have been identified. And then when you go to Bawe cluster of schools, it's one of the areas that has also been identified. We're also talking to some churches so that we can have access to their premises so that we can house the victims those areas. But as we speak, we'll still need mattresses and blankets to house these people, which I said hopefully by tomorrow we should have such relief items coming from Nambo.
There were those who were not in the jurisdiction when this started and therefore have been cut off from their communities, from their homes and loved ones because bridges linking some of the communities have broken down, washed away literally by the floods. How is the assembly helping in that regard as well?
If you cannot have access to those places, of course, we will advise that the situation at the moment, you don't even need to go back to where you are. You need to save your life so that tomorrow you can still live and then make up whatever you are losing today. It's a very unfortunate situation that we find ourselves in, but we also consult with our people that government will do everything possible to salvage the situation that we have at hand. This is a natural disaster that has hit the municipality, and we all need to come together to make sure that we all salvage the situation.
And just finally, Mr. Kumo, does NADMO have enough resources to be able to deal with the situation?
I believe so. I just spoke to the director a couple of minutes ago. The reason why I'm telling you, they are mobilizing to move in tomorrow so that people that have been displaced can be taken care of. It's something that I said. I mean, disaster, you don't plan for it when you're unaware. And I believe that people should exercise some patience while government mobilized to come to their aid.
Thank you very much. That's the MCA for Gas South, also the chairman of the Disaster Management Committee at the Gas South Municipal Assembly, Patrick Kumode, speaking to us on the floods that have taken over the entire municipality. And the irony of the situation is that whereas we have flood, excess water being spilled by the Ghana Water Company from the Weija Dam, the Ghana Water Company is warning us that water supply will be affected because of similar, situation in different parts of the country. We have a statement from them, and on Newsnight, my colleague MFR will be speaking to the Ghana Water Company's PRO, Stanley Martin. Stay tuned for more on this developing story. That's it for Top Story. I'm Ernest Meno, brought to you by Vodafone. Further together. We are back after these.
Charlie, some things can be very painful, like hitting your toe against the corner of a table, or a failed cash transaction because of insufficient funds. But that's where Vodafone Cash Overdraft will help you shop life regardless. Vodafone Cash Overdraft is the latest innovation that adds to your Vodafone Cash wallet when your balance is not enough to pay for your Vodafone transactions. Just dial *110#, select option 5 to opt in. Now, let's say you won't buy 50 cedis monthly data, where you get only 30 cedis for your Vodafone Cash wallet. You will get a notification saying you can access additional funds to complete your transaction. You accept the offer, done. Overdraft. Oh, say yeah.
Oh, yeah. The new Vodafone Cash Overdraft service allows you to access additional funds to complete your Vodafone Cash transaction. Be it paying for your broadband subscription, buying airtime or mobile data, or even sending money. Terms and conditions apply.
Vodafone.
I mean, if I say EGL Bazaar, say it be Bazaar. Electroland Ghana Limited is running a tech sale all you can grab bazaar. Items are a mixture of brand new, slightly used, crashed, showroom display, repaired and dented. Get up to 80% off. EGL Bazaar runs from Friday to Sunday. That is 7th, 8th and 9th October from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. Location, Coca-Cola Roundabout Spintex. Satisfy your tech hunger with products from Nasco, Samsung, Media, Toshiba and more. Samsung television at 1,199 Ghana Cedi. Grab a Nasco top-load washing machine 6 kg, 1,299 Ghana Cedi. Media toaster 399 Ghana Cedi. Grab for yourself smartphones, accessories, candlelights, washing machines, fridges, ovens, gas stoves, vacuum cleaner, dispenser. Quickly jot down the numbers. Call 0242 439 437.
EGL, home of electronics and appliances. At Enterprise Life, it's possible to live your best life. Ladies, enjoy cover for your lifestyle with Bloom Life Insurance for today's woman. Families, let's safeguard your well-being with a family income security plan because family matters. And for you, live freely with our Funeral Finance Plan Unlimited with no restrictions, no limits as you cover your loved ones and yourself. WhatsApp us on 0554 001 924 or call 0307 084 444 for your solution. Dream big with us. Enterprise, your advantage.
Good evening and welcome to News Night. In the next 60 minutes, farmers in Pachi number 1 in the Ashanti region forced to walk long miles in search of water for their crops and depend on rainwater in their areas following the pollution of the rivers there.
Someone collects rainwater, so that's where I'm going for water.
We don't have any water source here. We have to trek for hours.
Meanwhile, small-scale miners accuse Lands Minister of bias in his handling of the Akonta Mining Company's operation in the Nimri forest.
The law, no one above the law report Akonta Mining that he is working at the forest. So why don't you yourself and your operation horse go there and sack him?
We have more as President Akufo-Addo prepares to meet with the National House of Chiefs over the Galamsey menace tomorrow. Also coming up,
I'm directing the Director General of SIGA to work with the Auditor General to drill down to the causes of the infractions, identify persons responsible, and make the necessary recommendations. I'm giving them 4 weeks from now to submit a report to the Chief of Staff.
Your directive is hollow and unnecessary. Urge the Auditor General to apply his powers to disallow and surcharge without fear or favour. Busa South MP responds to President Akufo-Addo's 4-week order to SIGA to investigate the cause of infractions and malfeasance raised in the 2021 Auditor General's report. We have details as the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission undertakes an ambitious project to link salary to performance and productivity for CEOs of state-owned enterprises.
The question here is, are we paying for attendance, efforts, academic qualifications, skills, or performance?
And barely 24 hours after assurances from management it's fixed, the prepaid vending challenges some customers of ECG are struggling to purchase power at vending centres in part of Ashanti and Greater Accra regions.
Some will come, others will also delay a little, but I hope that by today, that one too will come on board.
I mean, we came here at 7, I think, and we've been here.
We have details and hear from the majority side of Parliament's Mines and Energy Committee serving notice it will back the minority side to investigate the issue further.
And in business, some oil marketing companies justify missed price codes for petroleum products, insisting the city's depreciation was the major factor.
And we have live commentary coming up shortly also here. And then later, which school wins the bragging rights as the 2022 champions of the National Science and Maths grades? We'll get to know from the 10th to the 26th of October as the competition has been launched and balloting for the preliminary stage. Let's go! We have that and more in tonight's edition of Newsnight. Do well to join us with your thoughts and comment. It's via WhatsApp 055-111-1997. We're live on Facebook as well. You can leave your comments there. We're live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. I am MFA Apau. Please stay for details. We dig in now to our very first story for tonight. And illegal mining continues to wreak havoc on farmlands. And this time around, farmers say they have been forced to walk long miles in search of water for their crops as the rivers there they depend on are increasingly becoming more polluted. The farmers in Pache, number 1, in the Ashanti region say they now depend on rainwater to irrigate their crops. Insura FM's Awuku Malik visited some sites at Pache, number 1, and has come through with this report.
Cocoa farms and other lands for food crops have been excavated for gold mining at Pichi number 1 in the Amansia West district. To get water for domestic chores, residents trek for almost 2 kilometers daily. Most of the residents now depend on rainwater for domestic chores and farming activities. My farm is over there. I'm going to fetch water to irrigate my farm. Someone collects rainwater, so that's where I'm going for water. There is no water source here. You'd have to hire a tricycle to fetch water for you to water the crops when it's Harmattan. Farmer Alima Osman says her only source of water for irrigation was the Akai stream, which has been destroyed through illegal mining. Most of the farmers here are not natives and therefore own no lands. They have no say when the farmlands are taken from them for other purposes.
We don't have any water source here. We have to trek for hours for water.
And this forms part of our hashtag No to Galamsey. We can hear from small-scale miners this evening. They're accusing the Lands Minister of bias in his handling of the Akonta Mining Company's operation in the Nimri Forest in the Western region. You'll recall the ministry cited the company for engaging in illegal mining and asked it to halt its activities. Well, the small-scale miners who say their members are either arrested or have their machines bent have described the minister's action as unfair. Kwekudria is a member of the association.
Then we are asking that why the Akonta Mining, which belongs to Untumi, he just called generous to inform forestry that to sack Untumi from there. If it will be so, why didn't minister told our members to just quit from where they are mining, and then when their machines too we set free and bend our machines before? I mean, you are coming to tell Untumi Akonta Mining to move from there. About 2 weeks or 1 week time, So if we become that, it didn't help us at all. The law, no one above the law report Akonta Mining that he is working at the forest. So why don't you yourself and your operation horse go there and sack him?
So that's Kwekudri, a member of the Small Scale Miners Association there. We'll stay a while longer on this because there's growing anger and revulsion after the latest Joy News Hotline documentary exposed how popular and politically connected persons are destroying our water bodies through illegal mining, now popularly known as Galamsey. According to CDD Health Fellow Dr. Kwame Siedu Sapong, President Akufo-Addo's government has completely lost the plot in the fight against the illegal mining menace. He's calling on fellow civil society activists to hit the streets to demonstrate against what he says is the health hazards of illegal mining and the lack of commitment on the part of government.
When people cannot afford dialysis, why, someone tell me, when forests that my father left Canada to come and protect throughout his entire professional life. Forests that I have lived in Samra when Dr. Kwenu was living there should be bastardized and degenerated to this point that someone is sleeping in his bed. Sometimes I look at these things and I tell myself, the only people who are interested in doing anything are those who are interested in chasing the weaklings. Those who actually have to pay the price for our failure as a country have bought those who have to jail them. And therefore, unless you and I decide to hit the streets, and you've always spoken to me privately, you know I have been very, very measured in civil actions because I know sometimes they can get out of place. But you know what? If the society doesn't act, we face an existential threat. Our leaders in whom we've cloaked power cannot and would not act. They would rather scheme to block SIM cards and arrest people for Facebook posts than arrest the people who are actually destroying our environment, our inability to capture carbon. They would arrest the others, but leave these ones. And so the only option left to us, Kojo, is for us to hit the streets.
That's Dr. Kwame Asiedu Sapong there speaking on the Super Morning Show. We also heard from a concerned citizen, Kweku Enchibuesiako. He wants government to take the fight a notch higher, declare an emergency, and deploy fully armed military personnel to protect lands, livelihoods, and water body. He also spoke on the Super Morning Show.
The president said he was putting his presidency on the line to fight Galamsey. How many years now since 2017? What's the situation on the ground? From everything we've heard, the situation is worse. Our water bodies have become, as you described, dead. You can't do the same thing every time, all the time, and expect a different result. If 5 years of his presidency, he has not been able to improve the situation, but the situation has rather gotten worse, it's fair to say he is a leader who has not provided the needed leadership when this country needed leadership. We can hit the street for sure, and I agree with Kwame that citizen action is a tool available to us. But I want to be very honest with you. Looking at the scale of the challenges we have with Galamsey, and there's enormous power given to the president under a state of emergency, and you mentioned it just before you came to me. We are in a state of emergency. Our army, our air force, don't they have helicopter gunships? Can anybody tell me that they cannot patrol some of these water bodies with helicopter gunships under a state of emergency?
That's a concerned citizen there, Kweku Enchibuesiako, speaking on the Super Morning Show earlier. And the hashtag is still on. You ought to join the conversation. If you care about our water bodies and our environment, we need to stop illegal mining. Hashtag no to Galamsey. And we are learning this evening that President Akufo-Addo is scheduled to meet with the National House of Chiefs as well as MMDCEs on the Galamsey menace tomorrow. That's Wednesday, 5th October 2022 at 10 a.m. at the Menchia Palace. That's the Menchia Kumasi in the Ashanti region. Stay with Joy News as we bring you updates on this particular issue. In the meantime, though, you can join the hashtag. Is hashtag no to Galamsey. Let's move on to some other stories tonight and urge the Auditor General to apply his powers to disallow and surcharge without fear or favour. Busa South MP Clement Apak responds to President Akufo-Addo's 4-week order to SIGA to investigate the cause of infractions and malfeasance raised in the 2021 Auditor General's report. We know that a total of 17.4 billion cedis in financial irregularities were flagged by the Auditor General in its latest report submitted to Parliament for the 2021 financial year. Well, this represents a 36% rise compared to that of 2020. At a meeting with chief executive officers of state-owned enterprises, President Akufo-Addo described the development as unfortunate and demonstrates poor management and supervision of state assets. Listen.
The president said we
need to ponder over why specified entities are not faring well in the same sectors in which their private sector counterparts are thriving and making profit. Further, I expect you to prioritize the payment of dividends, something virtually all of you have not been doing. I'm directing the Director General of SIGA to work with the Auditor General to drill down to the causes of the infractions, identify persons responsible, and make the necessary recommendations as prescribed by law. I'm giving them 4 weeks from now to submit a report to the Chief of Staff. I will continue to advocate for good corporate governance practices in our specified entities, where boards effectively oversee and direct management. Boards must desist from interfering into day-to-day management of their respective specified entities and making unwarranted demands on their management. You must remember that in each of your entities you have, apart from SIGA, an overall supervisor or monitor, which is the relevant sector minister and ultimately the Minister for Public Enterprises. If the hierarchy is rigorously maintained, we're guaranteed and enforced performance and output of your various entities.
So that's President Akufo-Addo there, but the Bosa South MP, Dr. Clement Appak, is of the view that the Auditor General must rather be urged by the President to exercise his powers of surcharge and disallowance. Thankfully, he joins us live. We're grateful for your time here on Newsline, Dr. Appak. So don't you get the sense that the President wants to rather get to the very bottom of this, drilling down to the very cause of these malfeasance?
Well, first of all, let me say good evening to you and good evening to cherished listeners. Well, with all due respect, I think that the President's directive is misplaced. As I've said, it is hollow and indeed needless. Because if one were to look at the Auditor General's report, what the President is seeking to get SIGA to do in collaboration with the Auditor General has already been done. The infractions are usually stated. Those responsible for the commission of those infractions are identified and recommendations made. So calling on SIGA to do something that has already been done clearly would not be a good way to expend public time and resources. What the President should be doing, as I've said, is to urge the Auditor General to use fully the powers granted his office to disallow and surcharge. If the President is concerned about the infractions, the source of infractions, and acting on the recommendations, what he ought to be doing is to instruct the Attorney General to take it up after the Public Accounts Committee does its public sittings, writes a report to Parliament, and that report is adopted. That is where an organization or an institution like SIGA can then give effect to the recommendations. And even within that context, the recommendations that SIGA can implement by and large would border on administrative recommended actions to be taken against persons under the authority of that institution who have been recommended to be sanctioned. Other than that, there is no legal or other mandate that can give power to SIGA to do what the President is recommended. But even so, it has already been done. So what is the point? Of investigating the causes of infractions, identifying the persons, and making recommendations when these are already captured in the Auditor General's report.
So what you are of the view that this SIGA mandate or this particular work or this marching orders from the President to SIGA will not yield any fresh results?
It won't. In fact, it is misplaced. I think the President can serve all of us well by adding his voice to the call on the Auditor General to apply the power to disallow and surcharge. And I would argue that if this was being done religiously, that would have served as a deterrent, and we would have seen a reduction in the number of infractions and the concomitant amount of monies that we are losing year in, year out.
Well, but thankfully also you are a member of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. I know that you've been doing some extensive work. You're yet to touch on the 2021 financial year report though, but really, what's the timeline for dealing with this particular financial report?
Well, yes, you are right. In fact, we just finished with the 2019 audit reports. By default, the committee is always lagging behind by 1 year, simply because of the way the system functions. The auditors can only commence the auditing after year-end 31st December. So by the time they finish the report for a particular year, it would have been 1 year behind. So we are now in the processes of taking up 2020, and some of us, in fact, are advocating that the committee's leadership should consider the possibility of us combining 2020 and 2021 so that we can catch up in real time and expose those who are responsible for the colossal amounts of monies that the state has been losing year in, year out in real time.
Dr. Clement Apaak, we are grateful for your time. That's the Busa South MP, also a member of the Public Accounts Committee. Well, staying on this particular issue, we know that chief executive officers of these state-owned enterprises would have their salary and other conditions of service determined by their productivity. The same will likely be applied to some selected public sector workers. The Fair Wages and Salaries Commission is undertaking piloting of the initiative in a bid to reduce losses and make the SOEs profitable. But before we hear from the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, listen to Minister for Public Enterprises Joseph Kudjo lay bare the state of the SOEs.
Non-performance, uneconomic operations, unprofitable outcomes, unsustainable operations, ineffective, inefficient characterization of the way we do things, uncompetitive market decisions, especially for those that are commercially oriented. In fact, I said all the negative attributes that can be used to describe any corporate institution when it is not performing applies to our public enterprises.
So that's the state, as we have it put out there by the sector minister or the Minister for Public Enterprises, Joseph Kudjo. So of concern to the President and the nation is the fat salaries and conditions of service enjoyed by these CEOs, which does not commensurate with their output. Chief Executive Officer of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Ben Arthur, says the situation will soon change.
Linking pay to performance and productivity is a key vehicle for making our state-owned enterprises, joint ventures, and other specified entities more efficient in their contribution towards achieving our national objectives. Linking pay to performance and productivity is not an option for any entity to adopt or reject. It is a constitutional imperative under Article 24 of our 1992 Constitution to ensure that compensation or pay is matched to the worth of every work. The question here is, are we paying for attendance, efforts, academic qualifications, skills, or performance? Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, as the body mandated to undertake job analysis and job evaluations, to advise government, including the entities, on performance management processes and indicators, as well as to ensure that the balance of internal consistency, external competitiveness, and employee performances are fully reflected in the public pay system is ready. It will eliminate ghost workers and check against absenteeism. After piloting this project for a while, productivity indices will be developed. Eventually, by this initiative, we will be able to measure at any point in time public sector workers' contribution to GDP. This will also give respective public sector employers the ability to link pay to performance and eventually to productivity.
So that's the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Meanwhile, Deputy Finance Minister Abenosi Asare is unhappy the state-owned enterprises have refused to comply with the Financial Management Act, which demands quarterly presentation of audited financial statements to the Finance Ministry.
Government's negotiations with the IMF is well underway. One of the key elements of discussions is how we can better manage or limit the risk associated with SOE's liabilities and thereby reduce government's exposure. Another key point I would like to raise in the presence of His Excellency is the issue of submission of audited financial statements as stipulated by law. The Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921, gives a deadline of end of April each year for the delivery of audited financial statements of SOEs. As we sit here, government has received the 2021 audited financial statements from only 30 entities out of 176 specified entities. We do not intend to name and shame here, but to demonstrate the extent of some underlying issues we face in the sector, which must be adequately addressed.
That's the Deputy Finance Minister, Abena Ose-Asare there. Meanwhile, the Auditor General, Johnson Ekuyamo-Esiedu, has disclosed that Agric Ministry paid over 41.2 million cedis to contractors working on government warehouses under the Planting for Food and Jobs program. This anomaly was caused by the failure of the project management team of the ministry to adhere to its monitor program. While the government in 2018 announced plans to rehabilitate 5 warehouses at various districts and also construct 30 warehouses in 30 districts across the country at a cost of over 470 million cedis. But a performance audit carried out by the Auditor General on the project has reviewed several lapses with the implementation of the project. My colleague Blessed Soga joins me in studio with details of that report. So first off, Blessed, give us details on this lapse committed by the Agric Ministries team.
According to the reports, the project management team of the ministry did not adhere to the monitoring program it had put in place. Now, as a result, the ministry paid an amount of 41,244,527 cedis 30 pesos for activities not carried out and actually failed to honor certificates within the time specified, contrary to clause 43.1 and also 42.4 of the conditions of that contract for the warehouses.
Okay, so we also understand that the ministry failed to carry out feasibility studies on these warehouses. What do we know?
Well, what we're getting to learn is that the Ministry of Food and Agriculture failed to carry out feasibility studies on the proposed sites for the construction of the warehouses as requested by the FAO and also industry standards to actually aid in deciding the best design options. The lack of this specific site investigation resulted in changes to the structure, the designs of 5 out of the 10 projects that were audited in this report.
And there were some other issues that were unraveled by the Auditor General regarding this particular issue.
There's also the finding by the Auditor General, which indicates that the Ministry of Food and Agriculture did not actually put in place mechanisms to enable them track the progress of work, performance of contractors, and also identify some challenges to enable them take some corrective measures to address them and also ensure that the projects were completed as scheduled. So these are some of the issues also coming up.
And there were some recommendations.
Generally, the head of the project management team, as per the report, there's a recommendation that they should institute some measures to ensure that the interim payment certificates are honored. Because obviously these were some of the concerns raised by the Auditor General, and according to the conditions of the contract, the project management team should also verify the progress of work through monitoring before interim payment certificates are actually honored. So the Auditor General basically is asking the ministry to carry out a feasibility studies on the next phase of the project before commencing the payment.
Thank you very much, Blessed. And I know that it's barely 24 hours after assurances from management that it's fixed the prepaid vending challenges. Some customers of ECG are still struggling to purchase power at vending centers in parts of Ashanti and Greater Accra regions. Guess what? The Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission has an order to the Electricity Company of Ghana. I'll be bringing you details of that, but from what I'm seeing so far, it appears that there's some compensation that ought to be paid to consumers. So portions of the statement that has just been released by the PURC says this order is directed to the Electricity Company of Ghana Limited in respect of failure in ECG prepayment vending system at Volta Takrady, Tema, Cape Coast, Kaswa, Winneba, Swedru, Koforidua, Nkoko, and Tafu locations in September 2022. The order is issued under Sections 11 and 12, 1 and 2 of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission Act 1997, Regulation 41 and 45 of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission Consumer Service. So it's quoting all the laws, and details of the order are as follows. The Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission has noted a widespread system failure in the prepayment meter vending system of the Electricity Company of Ghana in various locations around the country, which was confirmed in the press release issued by the ECG. Among others, the law imposes a duty on public utilities to provide safe, adequate, efficient, reasonable, and non-discriminatory service. The law also mandates the Commission to impose compensation orders, among other penalties, on public utilities for failure to comply with their legal obligations. In view of the extent of inconvenience occasioned by the failures with the ECG prepayment meter system, the Commission has determined that ECG shall pay compensation to all its affected customers, and it outlines what residential, that's the lifeline, they are not supposed to get, but they will get something, and then residential, non-residential, commercial, and industrial. I'll give you details of that particular statement issued by the PRC after business with George Riafi. Hello, George.
Hi, MFA. And coming up in business, some oil marketing companies justified the mixed price quotes for petroleum products, insisting the city's depreciation was a major factor. And we'll share with you how Cocoa Board is planning to disburse the $1.1 billion loan syndication deal closed with some banks. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Ghana Pay and Allianz Life.
Who at a spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Sharp! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information.
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHF, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302-764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website, www.kingdomgh.com.
Allianz, insurance since 1890. At Allianz Life Ghana, we have a wide range of life insurance packages to suit all pockets, from individuals, groups, associations, and businesses. We cover your employees, your funerals, pensions, children's education, and your future. Call us on 0302-267-892 or visit our website www.allianz-gh.com for more inquiries. Allianz Life, we secure your future.
na landing.
Ghana Pay are landing.
Hey, finally, Ghana Pay are landing.
Do more your way on Ghana Pay. Send and receive money at zero transaction fees. Pay bills, buy airtime and data. Transfer money in and out of your bank account and so much more with Ghana Pay. Dial *707# to register for Ghana Pay or download the Ghana Pay app from the Play Store or App Store.
Alande, Ghana Pay Alande.
Ghana Pay, your money, your way.
This service is powered by Gibbs.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, some oil marketing companies have justified the mixed price quotes put out for petroleum products. Now, most of these firms have dropped the price for diesel but have increased that of petrol. Now, however, this hasn't gone down well with some consumers who believe that we should be witnessing a bigger margin in terms of the price that I'll be quoting. The chief executive of oil firm Petrocel, Michael Bosenbill, disagrees. He has been given reasons why the trouble is beyond them.
Products do not just travel from the international market to the pump and being sold to the Ghanaian consumer in dollars. So even though the prices may drop on the international market in dollar terms, if you are now exchanging it to cedis and the cedi hasn't remained the same, it means that could affect the local price. So usually when the increase in the international price is significant enough to wipe off the cedi depreciation, that is when you see the reduction reflecting on the local market. There's also the element of the cost of doing business in terms of the working capital. So for instance, if you look at the beginning of the year where the prices were, and now we need more than twice the working capital we're using to do our business. But we have tried as much as possible to even maintain our margins. The cost does not pass on to the consumer. And I'm speaking in respect of Petrosol. So some of us try as much as possible to look at the challenges that the consumers face in the market and try to be considerate in our pricing.
And Michael Bosenbill is the chief executive of oil marketing firm Petrocel. Meanwhile, oil prices have started going up on the international market as OPEC is set to meet tomorrow to announce a cut in daily production by some 1 million barrels. Now, the $1.1 billion cocoa loan facility secured from some banks is expected to benefit the entire industry and not just the purchase of cocoa beans from farmers. Documents seen by Joy Business showed that the pension scheme would also cover the pension scheme for cocoa farmers. There is more in this report.
Cocoa Board will also advance some of the funds to help fight cocoa diseases and pest control, fertilizer distribution and application, as well as pension scheme for cocoa farmers in the country. The rest are construction of cocoa roads, industry inputs, internal marketing control for Cocoa Board, as well as rehabilitation and replanting of coffee and shea nuts. The documents show that the $1.1 billion will not only be used to purchase cocoa beans from farmers for this crop season, but other areas will benefit as well. Part of the facility will also be used to clear debts. The syndicate loan agreement has been structured in a way that Cocoa Board will actually start taking steps to settle the facility as soon as disbursements are made by the banks. Joy Business is learning that Ghana International Bank is expected to transfer the funds in the coming days. Joy Business is learning that Ghana International Bank is expected to transfer the funds in the coming days to Bank of Ghana. The central bank is expected to take the funds and give the cedi equivalent to Cocoa Board. It is believed that these inflows will go a long way to help stabilize the Ghana cedi.
And that is the Business Tech Report. Now, former president of the Ghana Association of Banks, Alhassan Antani, is making a strong case for the Bank of Ghana to freeze its policy rate increases because the economy is not responding. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has increased the policy rate by more than 700 basis points in January this year. The Bank of Ghana argues that it is aimed at checking the rising inflation rate, but Mr. Antani maintains that the central bank should rather look at reducing the rate.
The economy is not responsive to it. You do those things when the economy is responsive. If you hike policy rates and take interest rate, would people stop borrowing? They don't.
It's working.
It's not, well, I'm not sure. Sometimes you do it because that's what the textbook says, but does the economy react to it? In the US, immediately they pull up interest rate by 0.25%. You will see it immediately. Inventories will go down. People will lay off workers and calm down things. But if you are taking all these levers and the economy is just not reacting, you are on an escalator.
No bank country directors and listen that if we had not hiked this rate, could have not been around 100% inflation or even 120%.
You're just chasing your tail around. They should bring us back to where we restructure our demand and supply. I don't think the banks are safe lending at 35%. And the guy borrowing is not safe at borrowing at 35%.
Alhassan Andani is the former president of the Ghana Association of Banks. The Ghana Export Promotion Authority has reiterated the need for capacity building and training of small and medium-sized enterprises to produce to meet the international standards. Speaking at the Capacity Enhanced Program to sensitize local businesses on export requirements, the director in charge of products at the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Alexander Jakwa, noted that the right education and supervision, these small businesses at the district level will be able to produce to meet the international standards.
You know, exports is a different ball game. It's different from domestic trading. And so our producers and maybe exporters need to know that they need to meet certain standards. When they don't meet the standards and they try to export, then that is where come the rejections. And so our duty as a government agency responsible for export promotion is to sensitize them. We need to educate them and give them capacity to be able to improve and increase their activities to produce more for exports. And I said that the target is $25 billion within 10 years. And the districts play a very important part of the whole thing. We don't want it to remain at the regional and national levels only because they provide a critical supply capacity base of the products that would then be processed and added value to be able to export.
And that is Alexander Dajawa. He is the Director of Projects at the Ghana Export Promotion Authority. And that's all for Business on Newsnight. Back to you, MFA.
Thank you very much, George. And have you been able to buy your electricity now? Your prepaid and everything? No. You bought till the end of the year. Okay. That's George Riafi. Thank you very much, George. We are getting ready for that UEFA Champions League game today, and we know that there are 3 games already. Marseille and Sporting Lisbon 3-1, and we're expecting to bring you live commentary on the Inter Milan-Barcelona game. We also know there's Liverpool and Rangers tonight, but I've been telling you about a communication between the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission and the Electricity Company of Ghana. As we speak, there's still a meeting ongoing between stakeholders in the industry on what exactly it is that is happening at the Electricity Company of Ghana. Yesterday we heard from the managing director who's been addressing the press. He was unable to confirm or deny whether their system was indeed hacked. But this letter is written by the executive secretary of the PURC, Ishmael Aka, and it's directed to the managing director of the ECG. And it says the commission writes in respect of the vending failure which occurred in ECG's prepayment system across the country from September 2022 to early October 2022 in light of the breach of ECG statutory obligations, specifically sections 11 and 12(1) and 2 of the Public Utilities Act 1997 and regulations 41 and 45 of the PURC, that's Consumer Service Regulation 2022. The Commission hereby orders ECG to pay compensation to the affected customers in accordance with the attached order. This is in compliance with the law and a demonstration of good customer service. You may contact the undersigned for any clarification you may require. So this is the communication from the PURC to the Electricity Company of Ghana following the concerns or the system failure that we witnessed from end of September all the way to today. In Kumasi, we are told that many prepaid meter users in Kumasi queued up all night at various vending centers as they waited to be served with electricity after the power was restored. We can hear from the communications manager of ECG, Ashanti Grace Gashon, and he says the IMES category of the meters is yet to be activated by the technical staff.
The situation is better this morning. We have about 4 different meters in Ashanti region. As of last Saturday morning, one of the meters started running or responding. That's the G-Smart meter. And as at yesterday afternoon, we had another 2 coming on board. And the vending stations too, most of them are working.
Okay, so are all the meters up and running?
It's left with 1, which I hope will be on today. That's the IMES. That one goes straight, it's transmitted. We have about 4 types. And this issue was not peculiar to only Ashanti region. It was a nationwide challenge that we had to go through. The response was in bits. The head office, ICT staff, they were working throughout the night to ensure that everybody had light. So definitely some will come, others will also delay a little. But I hope that by today, that one too will come on board.
So that's the situation in the Ashanti region. And as I've been telling you in the past few minutes, the PURC has directed the Electricity Company of Ghana to pay compensation following the breaches in customer service to us. But as to how these compensations will be paid subsequently, we'll get details of that and when exactly the compensations will be paid. We'll be hearing more from the PURC and the Electricity Company of Ghana. And all is set for this year's National Science and Maths Quiz. More than 100 schools will take part in the competition at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi. Already, many NSMQ enthusiasts are asking, will defending champions Prempeh College win the trophy for the 6th time this year to equalize the number of times Presec Legon has won it and keep the bragging right? We will hear more. We'll get to know what happens with that. But my colleague Masola Gogba has more from the launch yesterday.
The excitement from the 2021 National Science and Maths Quiz is still fresh in our memories. The Sikh tune, which has been used for more than 15 years, has been replaced with a Ghanaianized version, which features the Ghanaian percussion instruments like the local drums and more. Here is Managing Director for Primetime Limited, Nanekua Nkuma Asari, with details.
Shinjama is part of secondary school life. So since this program is mainly targeted at secondary school students, this is really their kind of music. I think this seems like quite insignificant, but there's a significance to it.
The 2022 National Science and Maths Quiz is expected to generate the usual thrilling sensation that always grabs the attention and interest of the country. For old students of the participating schools, the NSMQ provides the right platform for them to brag about their former institutions. Coordinator for the Presec Legon NSMQ team, Jidepo Afram, says old students always have their eyes on the trophy and nothing else.
As coordinators, there's always pressure from old students, but how you handle it is very important. The old students are expectant of nothing but the trophy, and especially on the part of Presec, even a second in the competition, it's like we have not done any job. So they are always expecting a lot and they will put out of pressure.
An old student of the St. Augustine's College and UPSA Law lecturer, Professor Kofi Abochi, says the competition must be given all the needed support.
I think it is one of the few enterprises that is actually worthy of praise, given the fact that it sustains the interest of students and the general public in STEM education. And it is one private enterprise that I think, as a country, we should all rally around and support.
And that's how we wrap up today's edition of News Night.